And then, as our garnish, tomato rose to kind of top that off.
Beautiful.
As we said, we eat with our eyes first, so.
Beautiful, Chef.
There you go. So our fried green tomatoes with our crab cakes, our southern crab cakes, topped with our microgreens with a little bit of white truffle oil.
This episode, we're on location at the Culinary Institute of the South, located in Bluffton, South Carolina, and we're visiting with Chef Miles Huff, who's also the dean of the school. He has an amazing background. I asked him for a little help in wanting to learn how to prepare a couple of dishes for entertaining. He suggested an hors d'oeuvre and an appetizer. Well, for the hors d'oeuvre, we went with oysters on a half shell topped with salsa and spinach, and for the appetizer, we combined two favorite southern dishes together, crab cakes and green fried tomatoes. It was a perfect match. In creating this episode, it was very special because I recruited a few members from the Coastal with Kathryn team. I also invited Kari Maltz, who heads up our corporate marketing, to co-host with me since she's a foodie. And then we have Gustavo Rattia, who is our show videographer, and his beautiful wife, Rosa. And they were our official taste testers. I think the expression on their faces will tell you it was delicious. So let's get started. Everybody, I want to introduce you to Kari. She is a big person in our life at Coastal with Kathryn because she's our social media, PR, and she does all kinds of wonderful things with the team here. So I invited her to join me this show because she loves to cook. So I thought perfectly, she gets to work with Chef about how we're going to prepare these meals. So Kari, where are you from?
I flew down from Annapolis, Maryland. I have the great opportunity to come and spend time in the summers during vacation here, and which is how I met Kathryn many years ago. And so we decided to plan this as a working vacation for me, and I get to be behind the scenes and in front of the scenes with her this week on camera.
All right, well, come join me. Let's go find Chef. Well, before we get too far into our cooking show, I first want to introduce you to Chef Miles Huff, who is the dean and also chef here on campus here at the Culinary Institute of the South. He's generously invited us into the kitchen because we're going to learn to cook a wonderful meal. But before I tell you what the menu is about, I walk into the lobby and look what we see. And what is this, Chef?
This is a tower garden. So, one of actually, not only do we get to harvest some of well, I won't go through what they are, you're going to guess, but not only do we get to harvest, we get to see hydroponics and how they grow. So this is on a timer, and obviously it filters several times a day. And you can actually harvest. We have grow lights. Those can be taken off and it can move outside. So this is another application of farming, really, and they're becoming extremely popular, especially up in Chicago, New York, where there's very little places for farmland. So they actually have rooftop gardens like this, just like this, that they can harvest from.
The chef is going to tell us how he blends the flavors together and also making it a meal that you can do at home for your family and having guests. So let's go in the kitchen. This is the teaching kitchen. This is right where I need to be. So let's go inside. Come join me. So this is what a kitchen looks like. Oh my gosh, Chef, this is amazing. It's beautiful. It's overwhelmingly intimidating.
A lot of students say that when they first come in because this is a commercial kitchen. This is, it's full of gadgets, it's full of technology, and so it's gas, so it's ready to be fired up and cooked on for sure.
So Chef, I'm excited. What's our menu? Because we've been talking about different things, so he's leaving it up to a surprise. And we have a couple of courses to talk about.
Yes.
What are we starting with?
We're going to start with oysters. Oysters is a Lowcountry favorite. They're almost getting ready to come out of season, but they're still really, really good. And we're known for our oysters here in the Lowcountry. So it's a play on oysters, and we're going to build flavors, as we kind of hinted about earlier. So it's a rendition. It's very easy if you wanted to do it in your home for guests coming over. It's quick, it's fast, and it's delicious.
So, all right, I'm going to let you guys start, and here we have oysters. So let's start with you, Chef and Kari.
All right.
Oh my.
So we have our oysters. These are Blue Point oysters. These are local. Obviously, oysters come in basically two different types. They come selects or they come in clusters. If you're having an oyster roast, obviously you can get away with clusters, which are cheaper. But for this application, we want to do selects. Okay, so which basically means they're individually, they're not in a huge cluster. And some people have trouble opening oysters. If you look, obviously it's very sharp on this end. So you always look for the hinge, right?
Okay.
And you don't want to eat the oyster if it is open, because because this is a live, living sea creature, so we don't want to do that. So basically you stick it in here, you pop it open, and you expose that oyster. So our dish today, we want to loosen the muscle, but we also want to keep this flavor, this nice salinity. This is what a lot of Lowcountry people love, is that nice salinity, sea taste right from the sea. So we want to preserve that, but also layer flavors, as we talked about.
And that's what I'm intrigued about, because I'm a savory person. I love the layering of flavors and things like that. So continue on. So we have the oysters. Now what do we do?
So next we're going to do, one of the things I want to do, which is now coming in season, is spinach, baby spinach. We did have a farm, a huge farm in the Lowcountry that was doing spinach. I think they still are. So greens are now starting to come up, so we're going to incorporate that. But we also want that creaminess, so we're going to add a little bit of cream cheese.
All right.
And now we got the creaminess, the brininess of the oyster, and then we're going to top it with some homemade salsa with a little touch of jalapeno.
Sounds really good. All right, so let's try. Let's go.
In Annapolis, we would add a little touch of Old Bay to that as well, I think.
We could add Old Bay to that. Oh, actually, Old Bay, I do have it in one of our other recipes that's coming up.
Oh,
Wonderful.
You see? You know your seasons.
Yeah, a little taste of home. Thank you.
Well, great. So we're going to move over, and we have water simmering for our spinach. We just want to lightly blanch our spinach. Mm-hmm. This is baby organic spinach. It's been washed, so I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there.
And when you're blanching, is that a matter of 30 seconds?
It depends on what you want. If there's going to be another cooking process, yes, you can. So what you can do is blanch. You can actually then take it and shock it. And preserve color and some nutrition, or you can kind of cook it down depending if it's going to go right to the plate. So just depending on what you're using for. It's just going to be a very quick. All I want to do is slightly wilt this.
Okay.
And see how easy this is.
So we're going to take the spinach out. Right?
Yes.
Now we just blanched it.
We just blanched it. All we're going to do is this is utensil is called a spider. It doesn't bite.
Good to know.
Good to know, right? And we're going to move right to our food processor. So we're going to go ahead and add this. Get some of the moisture out.
So we're making 2, 4, 6, 7 oysters, and we're putting in about a couple of cups of spinach?
Maybe, a little more than a cup, maybe.
Okay.
We're going to incorporate our cream cheese.
And how much?
I'm not going to put all this in. All I want to do is soften it some. So maybe
quarter cup.
Quarter cup.
All right, we're good.
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
All right.
And add a little bit of salt, because I did not salt the water.
Are you not a pincher? Or are you not?
I can pinch. I can pinch when I need to. A little bit of black pepper.
Uh-huh.
Just a standard. There we go.
Okay.
Now, we're going to get this mixed together and
voila, magic.
Magic. So all we want you to do is get this into almost like if you were doing an oyster acapella, it's basically the same thing. So if you did want to add a Pernod to give that good anise flavor, obviously you could do any type of liqueur now. You can try to add that and give that another flavor profile flavor.
What's the other one you just said?
A Pernod.
Oh, what is
It's almost like a licorice, so it would be a very classic for oyster rocket.
like an anise or something?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part. Sorry, it's making it sound. All right, perfect.
Oh, that looks wonderful.
It's pretty.
Yeah. Let's give it a little bit more, another little spin.
So that spider, is that a utensil that home chefs would have?
Yeah, well, I have one, but I don't know if it would be
Is
your
it a good
typical.
gift for a home chef?
It would be an excellent gift for a home chef.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, because you could actually, it takes it right out of the water, so you're not having to carry a hot pot and go through a strainer,
Right.
and maybe get burned. It's easily picked up, easily transferred into a bowl. So yeah, it would be a great gift.
That's a good tip.
I have 3 people that are getting a spider for
Uh-oh.
Christmas.
we know where this is going.
Yes.
So all we want to do now is we want to just, like I said, I'm going to top this a little bit here.
And it's interesting, you really want to keep the fluid too, because you always think
Yes.
you have to dump the fluid, but you do not want to dump the
No,
fluid.
you don't.
This
And
is
like I said,
special.
so it's just going to go in about a 400-degree oven just for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. All I want to do is heat this up because this is the gold here. We don't want to dry this oyster out. One of the most overcooked, most chefs will tell you, one of the most overcooked food items they see with students is seafood.
Okay.
They kill it. They really try to overcook it, and that's a huge mistake. So we want to preserve that. As you know, you can eat oysters raw. So
That's right.
we really, which I do on occasion.
You have a lot of people here. They just shuck them and they enjoy them. What would you pair with this? Would you think of what kind of wine would you want to share with
You know,
it?
I would probably, there again, I'm a home kind of drinker. So, I mean, maybe something, maybe not a really bold Chard, but maybe a white, maybe a Sauvignon Blanc, something kind of a little bit light and fruity is where I would go with this.
All right, well then we're going to put these in the oven
Sure, we're just going to pop these in the oven for a minute.
at 400.
400 degrees for about 3 to 5 minutes. Like I
Okay.
said, all we want to do now is excite that oyster, warm that cream cheese up a little bit. And remember, food tastes entirely different from warm to cold, right?
It does.
It does.
It
So,
does.
and obviously too, as most people say with spaghetti, right? It's better the next day.
Right.
So a lot of times, flavoring, profiling different types of dishes. When I was in school, we were not allowed to even use tomato sauce, at least for 24 hours.
Okay.
Okay, because you want the garlic and the basil and oregano and all of these things to marry together, and you have a much more flavorful sauce the next day versus what we call a fresh sauce. Then lastly, we will do the fried green tomatoes with the crab cakes with pimento cheese sauce. Now, pimento cheese originally, Georgians will tell you, it's from Georgia. It's not from South Carolina, but we love to claim it, right? And then we're going to take that after we, as we say, nappe, or sauce the top, lightly sauce the top. We're going to put microgreens, actually harvested from our tower garden, and we're going to season those, and we're going to put just a little drop of white truffle oil. And you really are like, gosh, it's such a small
And we can
drop.
do this from home, right? We just, you know what
absolutely.
I think? They
I
say
got the truffle oil from Publix. I mean, it's
I have it in
available.
my cabinet and I'm looking for a dish to use it for, so you've just solved that problem for me.
Yes, yes.
All right, so what are we going to do?
Okay, so let's go ahead and, I think we could probably go ahead and pop these out. You can see they are starting to get a little crispy on top, which is what we're looking for.
Is that done right? Are we in the right spot?
Absolutely. You can start to see the little bit of coloration
Aren't they
in the
pretty?
oysters. But yeah, we still have that flavor there.
So you're looking for this.
The brine, the
brine.
liquid that's there from
Yeah.
the seawater.
Okay, Kari. So then we have one more topping for this,
We do.
and this is
how we're going to plate these today. So
How
this
pretty.
is So this is ice cream salt, and so if I'm in a restaurant, we want to, because usually oysters are not very stable. I mean, they want to wobble a little bit. So this is kind of a neat way of presenting them.
That is nice.
Or
actually.
if you wanted to have a larger platter as
Yeah.
your guests are coming in at your home, and having that nice Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc, they can easily get their oysters, have a glass of wine,
I mean, this might sound crazy, but be careful. You don't want to put it on crushed ice because these are hot oysters.
Exactly.
It looks like crushed ice, but it's not. So just FYI
Exactly.
for the newbie here.
Then let's go ahead and we'll move this to the side. Let's get this nice salsa that I made earlier. And there again, I think the key with salsa is having it kind of small. You don't want big chunks. We call this a very small dice. And I don't know if you can smell that. Okay?
That smells wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So just imagine now, like I said, the salinity of here, the creaminess of that cream cheese and that spinach. And now we're just going to top with a little bit of...
Gustavo's going to be happy. Gustavo's going to be happy. Who's Gustavo? He's the man that's holding the camera. We are a family here. I got Kari, I have Gustavo, we're missing Ricky, we're missing Joe, but everybody we're
Well,
here
I think
with
they're missing
you.
out today.
They are. So sorry, guys. But look at this. So I know Gustavo's looking at the salivating.
And I do have a little bit of garlic in here.
Oh,
Also, I love using purple onion. Now, purple onion is a sweet onion. So your regular yellow onion, it's not a sweet onion. I do love using Valdea, which is considered actually a green onion. And so I love using a sweeter onion for this application.
Right.
Okay.
That's prettier.
And what did you call the onion? A Valdea? Is it?
Pardon me?
What onion did you just talk about?
A Valdea, it's considered a green onion.
Really?
Trick question.
It is a trick question. Okay.
When
We
you
got-
start.
Sam later.
All right.
Ooh.
So let's go ahead and decorate a little bit,
Can I
if
bring
you
it over?
will.
I'm going to bring it over to you.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to help Chef here, you know.
So these are some of the greens that we harvested. I'm just going to plop
so
a
these
few
are
of these.
The harvest we're talking about when we met Chef in the lobby and we saw that tower with the leaves. That's what this is.
So we're here we have a radish flower.
Beautiful.
This is called garmache work. As you're in a school, you learn garmache. You learn how to do ice carvings. Of course, you know, carve watermelons and stuff at the state fair. Well, I used to. So, and you know, we eat with our eyes first, so it's very important. That,
You know, you're right. That's a very important thing to
it's a
do.
scallion.
It is.
Scallion.
So full.
All right, so let's take a pause here, and I think we should try these while they're warm. So I'm going to switch. I'm going to take the camera, and Gustavo's going to come in. Well, now we're taste testing, and we have everybody there. So let's try. So, Chef, when you eat these, is it just one bite, or how does this work? What's
It
the
is
technique?
one bite. I've loosened the muscle, and so basically it's one bite. So, and you kind of want it with the one bite, right? Because you want to get all those flavors that have married together. Remember, we talked about the oyster, the cream cheese, and the spinach, and then that nice zesty salsa. So you don't want to pick it apart. You want to eat it at once.
All right, let's go. Who's first?
With that glass of wine.
Right.
Rosa, go ahead. Let's see.
That looks like a heart.
This seems to be easy to
I'll take the same.
All right, Gustavo, your turn. I'm watching you.
It's like that.
What do you think? He can't
Still
speak.
warm. It's good.
Yeah,
Still
it's
warm?
warm. Kari?
Excellent.
Still warm.
Everybody's thinking this is wonderful.
Incredible.
Incredible, Rosa.
That is incredible.
What do you think?
And that's fine.
Warm and the tomatoes on it, the flavors.
So what is
Thank
the
you.
flavor I mean, it's everybody's sort of speechless. So was there layering of flavors, Chef, or have
I hope
Gustavo?
so.
What is
That
the
was
flavors?
the intention, is a layering of flavors, as we said before. So very easily done. Food processor, not just basically you shucking your oysters, making your salsa. You can buy salsa if you don't want to make it, and cream cheese and the spinach, and voila.
Voila.
So delectable.
Or
It's an amazing combination.
And that brine really does make it pop.
Yeah, you want to, and that's what we call the southern goal, is having that nice. And most people, when you talk about oysters in the South, they talk about the brininess. When I was a chef in Florida, I got my oysters from Apalachicola, entirely different flavor profile. They were bigger, more meatier, tougher, but the salinity just really wasn't there. So you really crave the southern oyster.
So if I bring this recipe to my friends and family in Annapolis, would we also want to reserve those oysters are coming out of Chesapeake Bay? and the surrounding rivers and tributaries. From there.
Absolutely, yes. You know, and that's probably what most people are used to eating there in that area. So, but imagine they're going to layering those flavor profile for you, and be the chef.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Tasting number 1. Let's keep going.
Any holiday can we got now?
All right, we're rolling. So next we're on to green fried tomatoes
Yes.
and pimento cheese. And let's start, Chef.
Okay.
Crab cakes.
So what we have here is there again it's a coarse, and you can see the yellow cornmeal in here.
Okay.
And it's seasoned flour. You can see the black pepper flakes, and we also have flour. And the reason I do that, matter of fact, I had one of my chef friends call me from New York one time. He goes, "How do you get your fried chicken so crispy?" And I said, "Well, are you adding a little bit of cornmeal to your flour?" "Oh, that's it." You know, he had to call down to me to find that out. So I do that it'll add a little bit of a crispy instead of just the flour as a fried medium.
So tip, guys, for our
Yes.
who wants fried chicken or however you want to fry something up.
Yes.
Add a little. Is it like a tablespoon of it, or?
Yeah, you could. I would have obviously more flour than cornmeal, so maybe a third or a quarter cornmeal to
Okay, a
three
cup of-
quarters of flour.
Okay, so
Yes,
it's like
yes.
a third of
Yes.
whatever.
1/3, 2/3.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So
I'm not-
this is again vegetable oil.
This is vegetable oil,
Right,
and
we're
there again,
getting
you can actually start. We call it a shimmer, so you can actually start to see the oil start to move in the pan. So we know we're just about there, right?
Yep. Ah, beautiful.
So let's just go ahead and take these green tomatoes.
You know, as a kid growing up in New York, we ate a lot of them fried. My mother, by the season was over, the frost was coming, and she'd just take all those tomatoes off the vine and say, "Guess what we're having?"
Yeah.
But I loved them. It was different up there. It wasn't such a, I don't know, common.
Novelty,
It
yeah.
wasn't common, so it was uncommon. But
I never had fried green tomatoes until after I saw the movie Fried Green Tomatoes.
Ah.
Growing up in New Jersey, I never had them.
But you do have the Rutgers tomato.
Oh yes, that's the ultimate.
My wife being from Rutgers, she will tell you, well, we have the Rutgers tomato.
Yeah.
Now, would you prepare it the same way if you were using an air fryer?
I would have to, there again too, I've been experimenting with air fryers. They all seem to be a little bit different. I would have to experiment and just see what it was like on that particular fryer.
Seemed all the rage this past Christmas. Everybody I knew, including my husband, asked for an air fryer. So we're all sharing recipes. And
I don't know. I don't know if people love them or if people try them and they put them away. They've had two
A lot
sort
of people,
experiences.
you see a lot of them at yard sales, and you see a lot of them at Goodwill. So I think they try them and they kind of get rid of them after a while. They go like,
kind
this
of like
is
the
not
bread machine from
right.
1992.
Exactly.
Right?
Or the George Foreman or
Yes,
something.
yes.
And I actually still have
a George-
my bread machine is in the closet, and I probably have had it out once in the last 3 years. So.
Yeah. So quickly, we're talking about the bread. At the school here, we're at the Culinary of Lowcountry here, and I want to tell you a little bit about the curriculum while we're waiting for the green tomatoes. Is that this is an education for somebody who wants to be in part of the food service world. As far as chefs, they can learn bakery. You talked about. What else can you tell me? I mean, I don't want to speak for you.
Wow, there's just so many different avenues, right? I mean, we're the biggest industry in the world. There are no bigger industries, and as you probably have heard me say before, we hire more professional women in this industry than any other industry. But just in my lifetime, I've been a high school teacher in culinary. I've been now a college dean in culinary. I've written cookbooks, which I never thought I would have done. I've worked. Mother's Day was or St. Patty's Day. 1,000 people are into restaurants in Florida, but then I was a private chef for a 4-star general. So I cooked in a 3-piece suit, I served in a 3-piece suit, and I got to meet some of the most extraordinary people you would ever want to meet in
What
your
a
life.
career! It all stems from cooking, your passion for cooking.
Absolutely. It all comes from, there again, and I tell students all the time, if this is not your passion, well, find your passion. As long as you are very passionate about what you do, you'll never work another day in your life.
But I agree, and that's what I love too. This is my passion, is to me, or work per se. It is my passion. So, but at the school here, but as I mentioned, the different sort of areas that you can go into if you want to specialize. There is the bakery,
The bacon and pastry program, yes. We have a lot of students. Actually, that's population is probably growing as fast, or maybe as my baker would tell you, faster than the culinary side. And then there's the hospitality side.
And Jacqueline's
Yes.
right over there. We're going
Yes.
to go to her next because she is an amazing baker. What do you call a master baker? Master baker? Well, we're going to have a chance to speak to you because there's her passions are going to come out. And then the other thing at the school, other curriculum that we can talk about. So
It's the hospitality.
Hospitality.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, anything to do with tourism, event management. Let's say you want to be an event planner, or you want to be your own caterer. It's you must know food. You must know a lot of different areas of, especially costing. So our curriculum is heavy into math and heavy into what is it like to run a restaurant. Obviously, with sanitation, you must know science. You must know how to make the business side of that, how to make good business sense, how to purchase properly, which is huge. You can lose I always tell everybody you can lose all your money right on the phone before the food has ever hits a plate.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
And then making that connection with the customer.
Yep.
Food Network has made it now where everybody wants to come out and meet the chef. What's your favorite color? Where do you eat? What's your favorite recipe, right?
Yeah.
So that personality side is also extremely important.
And I think the personality comes out in the chef's food as well. I think it's their passion for their spices, for whatever their ingredients, the fishes, the vegetables, whatever it could be. I mean, obviously that's why everybody has a unique restaurant, and that's their menu.
Yes. And not only that, I've had several students go into food science. So you ask yourself, well, how did that protein bar get here? How did that protein bar get to the shelf? Okay, there's an entire process behind that. So I've had several students do 2 years for me and then go to do food science in the bachelor's degree program. And if you've ever been in a food lab, it's pretty awesome, right? You have all these flavors, you have all of these smells, and you're reading into trends. What's going to be the next food trend? And coming up with those recipes and getting it on the shelf. Very important.
Okay.
All right. So I want still a little bit of a bite left into, a little bit of crunchiness left into these tomatoes. So I think we've pretty much achieved that.
Yes, they look beautiful. I mean, I have a tendency to burn things, so I'm just pleased. I don't know, maybe because I don't stay focused. I walk away and all of a sudden you smell something.
And we'll go back to this frying pan if we will.
This is beautiful. And tell me, so, it's like South Carolina and Georgia. Somebody is the peach capital. I haven't figured out which state is the peach state.
We are.
South Carolina. But I think Georgia's the one that keeps telling me they're the peach states. But as I'm looking here at the cheese,
Right.
so tell me about this cheese. I mean, what is the history of it? Because I don't understand.
Well, and obviously there's so many different types of cheeses. Probably the worst cooking cheese would be a cheddar, because it loves to separate, it loves to do different types of things. Your soft cheeses, your hard cheeses, and your mediums.
Right.
Whether they be European. So the melting factor is kind of huge if you're doing a homemade macaroni and cheese, or what we used to say macaroni pie. My grandmother used to make with eggs. So it has to do what the application is you're going to use. Some cheeses are not very stable at all. Some will hold forever. So obviously pimento cheese in the South. It is a Georgia thing, but we do grow more peaches in one county, the entire state of Georgia.
Just saying.
Just saying. But so usually done with a sharp cheddar cheese, cream cheese, obviously, pimentos, salt and pepper. You could add a little bit of sour cream. Some people do, depending on the the pimento cheese you're going to make.
And once you add the sour cream, then it has to be refrigerated.
Yes.
It have to be, so.
Yes. And especially in the South, as you know, it's very humid, very hot. Definitely want to keep it in the refrigerator.
Very nice. All right. So I see crab cakes, I see
Yes.
tomatoes, and I see cheese.
Yes.
And we are carrying on.
We are carrying on.
Kari, what do you think, being my co-host? How do you like
Oh,
it?
I'm so excited, especially for this cheese, because I've never had it before.
So what I've done to thin it out a little bit, you want to melt it very slowly. You never want to, one of the things that a lot of, I think, novice cooks do is they try to hurry things, as you talked about earlier. I want to hurry up and get it done. there's time and labor and love, you know, so you don't want to hurry things. You want to, so this, you want to, you know, slowly bring it down, slowly melt. And actually we see with Chef Orak, when she does her chocolates, you know, you just don't turn the chocolate up and add the oil and just get it really super hot. It will react. So slowly bring it down softly, and that's your best method. So don't rush through cooking. It's a labor of love.
Simmer. Yes.
Simmer.
Patience.
So I do have some clarified butter, and the reason we clarify butter, and you can see the milk solids a little bit
Yeah.
at the bottom, and because of the flavor, and it also raises the smoke point
Okay.
from about 230 degrees to about 320.
All right.
So we want to raise the smoke point. So we're just going to add a little bit of that in there. A little more fire.
Kari,
under
do you
it.
make crab cakes at home?
I think I've done that once. I typically go to a restaurant in Annapolis because we're known for our crab cakes. So, now would this be comparable to ghee?
It is. It is. Matter of fact, I was on the Land O'Lakes butter board. Actually,
really?
they flew
Okay.
me up there for 2 days, and they want us to say, what would you like to see? And they were looking trending. What's going to be the next product? And I said, have you ever thought about making a ghee? And then the next day, they revealed their items, and ghee was one of them. Clarified butter.
Yeah, I buy ghee by the jar because I was doing this at home for a while,
Uh-huh.
and then I found it and thought, well, gee, that's easier.
So these are your crab cakes?
These are the crab cakes.
And is it a secret recipe, or can you share with
I
us?
cannot tell you this recipe.
Oh,
There's crab.
There's crab.
And
No,
there's-
basically all we have here is, I'm gonna turn this out so it doesn't get too crazy on us. All we have here is we have a little bit of Dijon mustard.
Yeah.
We have some scallion, as you can see in there.
Yeah.
I have mayonnaise,
Okay.
and I have some breadcrumb and 1 egg.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And that 1 egg will help to be a binder.
Okay.
Let's flatten these out just a little bit here.
Beautiful.
And this crab, obviously, when you get store-bought crab, it has already been picked. So I've looked through all and gotten the shells out. It also it's cooked.
Oh, that's right. So it is blue crab. We
yes,
want to make sure
yes.
that.
We have some of the best blue crab. There again, we're bragging. Some of the best blue crab in South Carolina, or off our coast than any place. You know, and when you're down here, actually, you shouldn't have to look for frozen or imitation or from out of country.
Yeah.
There's plenty of sources around here for.
Well, I know a lot of people here actually will just go off to the river and you know, put in the crates, the crab crates.
Crab
and they-
themselves.
Yeah, and they trap them themselves and they bring home a bunch of them. So, I mean, it's right here. It's right outside
Yes.
the door. It's like fishing.
Yes.
You see
Right.
it crapping. It's very common. It's not. This looks delicious. All right.
All right, so we're ready. Let's go ahead and we're gonna plate this up.
All right. Okay, so now we just plated the green tomato and the crab cakes, and now we're adding a
A
couple.
little bit of white truffle oil, and I want you to smell this, and you'll really be able to pick it out.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it does, and it doesn't take a lot.
Ooh, it's very
Right?
savory.
So we call this dressing the greens.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just gonna put a little bit right there. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that looks spectacular. Seriously.
Maybe just a pinch of salt in there. That's all. We're just going to take those greens and we're going to put them right across here. And like I said, these are the greens that came out of our tower, out of our grow tower, which we really, come on, get in there. Can you smell that? Smell that truffle oil.
Oh, it does smell really good.
Yeah?
This is why we love truffle fries.
Yes.
It just it is. All right, want to smell?
And then, as our garnish, tomato rose to kind of top that off. As we said,
Beautiful.
we eat with our eyes
Encore.
first. So
Beautiful, chef.
there you go. So our fried green tomatoes with our crab cakes, our southern crab cakes, topped with our microgreens with a little bit of white truffle oil.
Ah, it's beautiful. I'm just
My
taken back.
senses are exploding.
So some people will bake their crab cakes. I definitely like frying mine in a very shallow. So you can have, like you said, that crunch factor on the palate for sure.
I think they love this, Chef. What do you think?
I think so. I think they need to come by our restaurant when we're open.
The truffle makes like a capsule here where you're tasting. It combines all the flavors in your mouth.
And this cheese is so unusual.
We want to thank Chef Miles Huff, and we will be back with a new episode as we continue our culinary lesson. We're going to learn how to make an entree and a dessert. And for that show, I've invited Chef Jackie Orrick, who's also department chair at the school. Her specialty? Well, she's going to teach us how to make an easy dessert, which includes chocolate. So be sure to look for that episode as well, because there's more delicious fun